Hi everyone, I'm Marianne. I'm a visual artist and voice coach from Singapore, currently in Singapore, and welcome to day 62 of my 100 day vlog series. So if you're someone who has a dream and you really want to make it come true, or you want to pursue your passion and create a life around a worthy and meaningful purpose for you, and maybe you are struggling with how to get started on this, or you're struggling with how to continue on this journey, and you're wondering if this is really right for you, and there's so much uncertainty and so much questions and so much not knowing whether you're doing the right thing or not. Well, you're not alone in this journey, because I have been there so many times. I'm still there at times, even in my journey now. And I created this series to share what I've learned, what I've realized, and hope in the hopes that some of my experiences will also help you as you're figuring out your journey and figuring out how to make your dreams come true. So if you have questions about these, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. So yesterday I shared about how it's important to change things up in our lives every now and then. And it doesn't need to be a big thing. It can be a simple thing like you're in the supermarket, you have seen this brand of chocolate chip cookies that have been, in front of you this whole time, and you're not sure whether to try it because you don't know how good it's going to taste, but one day you decide to just do it anyway and just try it. Or it could be sitting at a different seat at the dining table, or sitting at the other end of the sofa instead of your usual end. It could be just taking a different route home from work, or going to your favorite restaurant and ordering something that you've never tried before. Just little things like these that allow you to change things up in your life such that it gives you a new perspective, a new vantage point, new data about the world, and new data about yourself. And this is important because in the journey of pursuing your dreams, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. There's going to be a lot of times where you have to take a risk, and you have to take a chance, and you have to be comfortable with knowing that that things are not always going to be the same. You have to be comfortable with going outside of what is normal, or what is considered your routine, or what's considered comfortable for you. And the thing is, because our comfort zone is something that we're used to, and we're used to the certainty that comes with it, even though that certainty ultimately is kind of an illusion, because we're always expecting, because we never actually know what is going to happen. Even if you go to the same places and eat the same food, you never know what the food is going to be like on that day itself, but we do have an expectation of what we're comfortable with and what we expect, and that causes us to stay within the confines of what we're used to, instead of learning how to embrace uncertainty and embrace things that are different. And from my own experience, a lot of what has contributed to my journey is because I have been willing to take a lot of risk and try out a lot of different things that I never ever thought that I would. So as an example, I'll share a little bit of my story. When I was growing up, I was really shy. I never really liked to speak in front of a group of people, and even when it came to meeting new friends for the first time, I would rarely speak up. And it usually takes some time of continuously hanging out or meeting with them, like my classmates in school, before I would show my more crazy and talkative side. So a lot of feedback that I had when I was younger was that people always thought that I was very shy and quiet in the beginning, but then after that they realized that I totally wasn't like that at all. But for some reason, when it comes to being in front of a crowd, when it comes to meeting people for the first time, I wasn't naturally talkative. I didn't really know how to engage with people or communicate with people that I had just met. And now if you look at me, you probably wouldn't think that I'm shy. And most people wouldn't think that I'm shy, because I'm able to speak as though I'm not. So I remember when I was 17, I took a huge step outside of my comfort zone, because I went to a new school, which was like a junior college. So that's like a 2-year school before going to university in Singapore. And I decided that I wanted to break out of this shy persona that I had and be more outgoing and make friends with people. So I tried to do that. And then I also tried to run for the Students' Council, which is kind of like a governing body of students in the school, to rally everyone to do cheers at like sports events and things like that. So I remember we had a campaign. We had to do a campaign for, to promote ourselves to be voted into this Students' Council. And we had to give a speech in front of our cohort. So for me, it was about 100 people that I had to give this speech in front of. And I basically was so nervous that I messed up. I said the wrong things, I got laughed at. And the worst part of it was, in the meantime, what was going on behind my back was that people were spreading rumors about me being like a bitch or being desperate for attention because I was being too friendly. And that basically meant that my entire plan to be more outgoing and sociable just backfired in my face. And so because of that, I kind of retreated more into my own shell because I didn't really have any friends in that at that time. And one thing I learned, even though it was very, very traumatizing at that moment, because as a 17-year-old, our social status among our peers is like one of the most important things. So it was traumatizing at that moment. But a year later, I realized nobody really remembered my whole, mess up during that time. And nobody really remembered that I was trying too hard or trying too hard to make friends or being too friendly or whatever it is, whatever rumors they were spreading about me. And so it's kind of like, even though I messed up, even though it's traumatizing, it kind of blew over. It wasn't that big a deal after a while. And so in the meantime, I just continued to push myself, outside of my comfort zone, especially when it comes to relating with people. I learned how to talk to people, basically. I learned how to have a conversation with people that I had just met, like what kind of questions to ask them, what kind of persona to put on such that it's not too desperate and not too friendly, but at the same time not the shy girl. So it was a lot of trial and error, honestly. And after some time, I became an actor as well. And this is largely in part because I met my friend who was a filmmaker, and then he started dating this actress. And I saw that she was just like a normal person like me. And if she can do it, I couldn't see why I didn't see why I couldn't do it. And it took a lot of courage for me one day to tell her that I was interested in acting and I wanted to see if she could help me, get into some auditions or something. And next thing I know, I was going for my very first audition for a short film. And it was totally outside of my comfort zone because I had never done anything like that before. And then from there, I started doing more acting gigs, like staged productions, like on film, TV, mostly small things. But ultimately, my biggest role was with a local theatre company here in Singapore. And I never ever thought that I would have experienced that and done that. And all of that happened because I was able to push myself outside of my comfort zone to try something different and to learn how to get out of this shy persona. So fast forward many years till today, I still consider myself a shy person because naturally that's how I am. I'm more introverted. I tend to prefer being alone than to be around people all the time. And even if I go to a social event, a social gathering, I'm not going to be like, the social butterfly or the life of the party. But I've learned to be able to initiate conversation with people that I don't know and to be able to ask them things about themselves and to engage in conversation. And to the point that, it's no longer a challenge for me to talk to a stranger, for example. And it is still a challenge to approach a stranger and to start talking to them, but it's not a challenge anymore to actually have a conversation with a stranger. So if a stranger approached me to talk to me and if I think they're friendly enough, I could have a conversation with them, no problem there. And even now to do this vlog series, it's something that I never ever thought I would do. And I have shared many times that I struggle a lot with starting to do this because there's the fear of people judging me based on the things that I share and the things that I say. And putting my face out there on video is a huge step outside of the comfort zone as well because I don't like how I look on camera. And so what I'm saying, at the end of all this is that it is an ongoing journey. Like even now, I still have fears around speaking to an audience, but it's not as bad as it was before, and I'm better able to manage it because of the experiences that I've had, because I'm more willing to embrace the uncertainty that comes with this, and more willing to embrace that it might just backfire in my face because it has happened before, but I don't let it stop me. I don't let that fear of the unknown stop me. It might deter me for some time and it might take me a while to psych myself up to actually just go for it. But ultimately, I know that the more I practice being outside of my comfort zone, the more I practice, challenging my own shyness, the more I practice learning how to manage that, the easier it becomes to step outside of my head and to engage with people, whether it's one-to-one conversations, whether it's on a video sharing, whether it's in a workshop setting. And someday, ultimately, I hope to be able to deliver a TED Talk without all the performance anxiety jitters that I normally face when I'm standing in a room full of people. So if you have enjoyed today's video, subscribe to my YouTube channel or like my page on Facebook, wherever you're seeing this on. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or directly message me through any of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. And I'll see you tomorrow.